All right, well, welcome to the Real Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, T. Ares. Today's guest has so much value that you cannot miss what he's going to talk about. The man is the owner of Pincho Factory, and the struggles and the success that this guy has had, it's going to be so helpful for all the entrepreneurs that are going to be listening. I'm telling you, can't miss this episode. Otto, congratulations on your success, and thank you for being on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
I was with you when you first started.
Yeah.
Your journey. That first Pincho factory that you opened up on Bird.
Yeah.
And I remember the grand opening. You had a DJ, giving away free food and stuff. It was fun.
It's 15 years ago, man.
15 years, man. Yeah,
in November this year, it's 15 years.
Really, man. Yeah, I remember going in there and just seeing it, just paper on the walls, painting.
Yeah.
You guys were setting it all up. It was pretty it's pretty impressive to see the growth from one to I don't even know how many you have right now.
We're at 14 restaurants.
14. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so impressive. And mind you, we opened up at the time that there was no the social media really wasn't anything at that time. It was like starting off.
It was very hard.
We were talking a little bit about how shooting a video was, so expensive, and how that, went about. And, you didn't know, but I was recording us while we were doing that.
Okay,
so
good.
That could be a good snippet. That's a good snippet to put in there.
So thank God I wasn't talking bad about anyone. Good. That's amazing. Well, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Very exciting. Yeah, I just remember that you were there when we first opened. Yeah, when we were still trying to figure out the interior, the design, the vibe. Yeah. Pretty sure you came to our pre-opening VIP dinner that we did there, friends and family. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, 15 years, 14 restaurants. Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, I remember that I was selling what was it? Credit card processing.
I think so.
And I went to go talk to you guys or whatever, and you're like, oh, Blackstone, I don't know about them. And so we didn't do it because you were like, I don't know, I'm not sure about them, Yeah. So it was that far back, And
it was a long time ago.
Yeah. So tell the people a little bit about the story on how you even started the Pincho Factory brand.
Yeah.
How did you even think of that? Because at this point we were like going out doing our thing or whatever, but we weren't. You were thinking, man, I need to open something up.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that?
Yeah, it's a funny story. So my background, just to give everybody my background a bit. So my background's in design. I was a web developer for many years, and then I got into design. So I worked at an ad agency called Sapien Nitro. Mm. So I used to work with big brands, Fiat, Chrysler, Sprint, Nextel. And I worked with an incredible group of people, shout out to my old school Sapien folks. But I've always wanted to open up a business, and I had a passion for hospitality. I think maybe because I'm Middle Eastern, I loved hosting friends and family. And I always wanted to do something around my mom's kebab recipe, her Pincho recipe. Mm-hmm. My mom's kebab recipe was a hit amongst my friends. So we first moved to Miami. My friends tasted the Pincho that my mom made at home, and then they were like, holy crap, that's amazing. And they were like, no, I swear, that's how it started. And then they called my house like 1 week later. They're like, hey, is it okay if we go to Publix and buy, 2 pounds of steak? And I'm like, for what? They're like, so your mom can chop up the meat for us and season it because we want to grill it at our tailgate. And I was like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, do you guys like it that much? He goes, dude, we loved it. It was amazing. So I told my mom about it. And then I said, and then it became a thing. And then I said, one day I'm going to open a restaurant selling your recipe. I told my mom that. I was like, one day I'm going to sell these pinchos. I'm going to do something with them. And then life happened, and then I was working. I had my career. And then at a 4th of July barbecue with my co-founder, Nadal, his wife, Crystal, my ex at the time, we were all hanging out. And then we were like, we had a few drinks, so we had a bit of liquid courage, 7 shots of tequila deep. And then I was like, you know what, we should open a restaurant. Because Nadal was bumping heads with his dad, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I was like, man, we should open a restaurant. I've always wanted to do this thing with my mom's family recipe.
Right.
And I told him, look, I know design and branding. I'll do all the marketing, I'll do all the branding, I'll give you my mom's recipe, and you run the show, because I have my career. I'm not going to quit my career to do that right now.
Right.
And we just wanted to open one restaurant. I wanted to help him out so we can have a business, so we can make some good money. And I wanted to do something with those recipes. And then two days later, he was like, hey, are you serious? Were you serious about, the restaurants? I'm like, well, we were drinking, but, if you're game, I'm game. That's something I've always wanted to do. And he said, let's go. He's like, I'm already meeting with landlords. So we went for it, man. We had zero experience. We didn't know anything about restaurants, like nothing. We used to live in the Hialeah, Miami Lakes neighborhood, and we couldn't find anything in that market that was cheap enough because we didn't have a lot of money to open.
Right.
And then we knew most of our friends lived in Kendall. So like the majority of our friends lived in Kendall, and then a big chunk lived in Hialeah, Miami Lakes.
Right.
So we found a spot on Bird Road, which is the spot that you know about.
Yeah.
And it was like right smack in the middle between Kendall and Hialeah, right? I was like, okay, well, not really. It's more towards Kendall, but we're like, you know what? This is the spot. It was a Peruvian spot that had closed down, so it wasn't going to take a lot of money for us to convert into a Pincho. Oh. So we put 77 grand between me, him, his little brother Nizar. We basically made him a partner because we needed his money. We told him, hey, you're going to become a partner. So he joined us. And it was a loan from one of our uncles. They gave us the rest of the money that we needed.
Wow. And
we went for it, man. Zero experience, And today, fast forward, I'll give you a bit more of the story of the brand in a bit. But today we're 14 restaurants. We have 4 in Houston. Really? And the rest here in Miami.
Wow.
So
that's impressive.
Yeah,
impressive. Man. People think that you need all this experience and nothing. I think it's just going for it. You have a vision, and you didn't even really plan for it. You were like, let's just do it.
Let's just do it. Man. I think a lot of times people overthink a lot of their decision making is the business plans and everything.
Right.
And I think honestly, with experience now, I'm not saying just gamble all your money into doing something, but the winners are the people that move faster than anybody else. And I think that I live by it now. If you want to do something, just go. Right. There's a quote from Reid Hoffman. He's the founder of LinkedIn. He goes, if you launch your product and you're not embarrassed by it, you launch too late. Like, launch, right? Just launch, test it. Don't throw 100 grand into the mix, but there's ways of you testing it. And I think in today's world, there's a lot of ways for you to test out your business. But yeah, no experience, just perseverance and resilience.
I would recommend Pincho to everybody, and people would be like, because I live in that area more or less, because I'm closer to the Gables, but I have all my friends are there too.
Yeah.
And I would tell my friends, hey, let's go to the Pincho factory, and they're like, man, what the hell is that? I'm like, bro, trust me. Bro, we'll go, show up, what the hell? This is amazing. I'm like, I told you.
We lucked out, man. In after year 1, Adrian Sanchez, he's our director of culinary. Nadal, my co-founder, met Adrian at a food truck event. And then Adrian, we convinced him some way, somehow, to join Pincho. And he joined us. And he is the Latin part of Pincho because I was born and raised in Brazil. I'm Middle Eastern, but I was born and raised in Brazil. But I grew up in Hialeah.
Right.
I came here when I was 15, 16. My Adrian is from here, and he's Cuban. So he started adding a lot of that influence to that Middle Eastern side of Pincho.
Yeah.
So it became like this Latin street food concept. And dude, the guy's amazing. I mean, we've won every award you can think of, primarily because of he joined the brand and he brought his chops.
Yeah, because that's I've gone to Miracle Mayo. I've gone to wherever I go.
Yeah.
You guys are usually there, and there's usually some type of competition on who has the best hamburger, blah blah. And every time, Pincho number 1.
Yeah. We just won the Burgerlicious in Coral Gables this year. This was our 8th time winning. So thank you to the Gables community. We love you guys. It's so much fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
15 years and we're still winning.
That's incredible.
It's a great feeling for sure.
Let's go into a little bit about how somebody has a business for whatever 10 years and they're like, dude, I'm still in the same one spot, whatever. how do you help them or tell them how you grew your business, so maybe they could get some ideas on how to grow their business?
Absolutely. When we first started, like I said, we didn't have a lot of money. Capital between the three of us was very little, and we worked at one unit, and we worked really hard, and we got it. And in the first 2 years, it was Nadal, Crystal, Nazar. He was sort of part-time there, not really, but really my co-founders, Nadal and his wife, really running the business on their own. I still had my job, because we still needed money.
Right.
And they just worked really hard to get that business going, right? And they tried everything possible, like any marketing strategy, until the Pincho name became Pincho, right? I think year 3 is when we really took off. I think my advice to anybody, if you want to start growing, is you have to make sure that your first unit is making money, right? Like if you're not making money, like it makes no sense for you to go in and involve other people, because it's a lot of responsibility to take money from other people.
Right.
No matter, you raised $1 million, that's a million more reasons to be responsible, right? It's a million more responsibilities that you need to deal with. So my advice is always the same. Make sure your accounting is clean, your books are clean, so that way if you're going to go raise money, talk to investors, whatever, that you have a good story. You're not all over the place.
Right.
So clean, there's some housekeeping items that you have to do. Make sure that your books are clean. Make sure that one unit is successful and making good money. And and then make sure they have good systems in place. What do I mean by systems? Opening checklists, closing checklists. How do you promote people from within? How do you hire? How do you fire? It doesn't have to be foolproof, but if you have at least the basics, and if you're a restaurant, in my case, your recipes, everything is you have a good training process in place. You want to make sure that you have all of that. I think training is number 1, actually, at the top of that list. Can we train people? Can we onboard people? You want to be able to have a business that operates without you being there.
Right.
Because it's funny, because I spoke about this today on my Instagram. It's easy to go from 1 to 2 because you split your time between 2 units, right? So now, you have this one store, you open a second one, 50% of your time here, 50% of your time there. When you open store number 3, bro, if you don't have strong systems, the wheels come off and then your system breaks. Because now you're splitting yourself between 3 businesses and your family, and you need to sleep. Dude, it's insane.
Right.
So if you don't have the good training manuals, good SOPs, just processes in place, it's just gonna break. So I think.
How did you get that? How did you didn't know anything? How did you learn that?
You know what?
That's.
I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. I'm a really strong faith kind of person. Mm-hmm. We got introduced to a consultant via a friend. And that consultant, his name is Rene Prats, dear friend of mine. I love you, Rene. Thank you. We hired him, and he came on board. And then he was like, "Here's everything that you need." So I always say, if you don't know, talk to people, ask, go online. Now there's ChatGPT, for God's sake. We didn't have that back then, right? To go back to what you were saying earlier. So we paid a substantial amount of money for a consultant to come in and just show us the way. You still got to execute yourself. He's not going to do the work for you. Mm-hmm. But that was a huge thing. So we had 2 restaurants, Bird Road and Gables. They had great sales. Our profitability wasn't there. We'll make 7% store level EBITDA, which is not really strong. Right. So I quit my career. That's when I quit my job, and I said to Nadal, I'm going to come and help you. We hired Rene. Rene came and showed us the way, and all of a sudden we went from 7% to 20% profitability, from an EBITDA standpoint, and now we were making money. Even after that, so now we're going to grow more, and so we made a decision to bring on a director of operations. Everybody was like, "What? You only have 2 restaurants? What do you mean?" So it's yeah, we need talent. We need people to know what they're doing. So we hired someone that we paid more than we paid ourselves. That's nuts. So you think about it, as an owner of the business, you hire a director of operations to come in and run your business, and you pay that person more than you pay yourself, because you are betting that person is going to bring value and add value. And that person, his name is Esteban Amaro. Shout out to Esteban. I'm going to give a shout out to everybody that's helped us along the way. Esteban came on board, man, and the guy was a beast. And he's really the one that built all the processes. Like from the training manuals to the way that we hire people, the way that we onboard people, the way that we make sure that our food's consistent, which people don't think about. That's the hardest thing.
For sure.
To make sure that you're cooking your rice and beans here and they are the same in Houston, Texas. It's all documenting and training. So I think that was one of the single-handedly the best investment we made was bringing those two people on board to help us out.
Yeah, no,
that was a really long answer. But.
No, but that's good. That's a good answer. Look, and the reason you asked me, why do I do this podcast, right? I do this to help people, but I also do it to help myself because I really think that just listening to you speak about what you're doing, my brain is going crazy,
How do I plan out my business?
Correct. And, I've been at a point that I'm 10 years into a business and, how do I grow this thing? Because I get all these big accounts and then how do and I've tried to put it all together, like you said, putting systems in, but man, you're trying to, work on the business, and then if you're working in the business, you can't work on the business, and then it's like, it's completely hard if you don't have somebody that you said you hired somebody, and you took a chance because that person was going to bring you this much value, and in the long run, look where you're at now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the art of delegation. That's why delegation is so hard, because if you are a really strong, what we call it, an individual contributor, like you do all the work yourself, like you do this. Sometimes as a founder, you have a hard time letting go because you like things done this way, and you're like, oh, that person's not going to know how to do that.
Right.
Oh, that person's not going to.
Right.
But it takes a lot more effort for you to go and train someone else to do that, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy for you to say, like, no, don't worry about it, I'll do it.
Right.
Because you know how to do it, it's going to be super fast for you to do it instead of you having to explain it to me. But the best leaders are the leaders that will take the time to build all the SOPs, write the processes down. Here's how we do this. Here's how we do that. Here's how we do that. And then delegate. And then the way that you delegate to people, you don't just give everything all at once. You do it little by little. You hire your first employee. You say, look, here's what I'm going to give you. I need you now to open up the restaurant, for example. I'm not going to open the restaurant anymore. You're going to go open. I'm going to come in at 11. And then you give them a little bit. And then you see if they can take it. And then you give them a little bit more. And you give them until they break. And then once they break, that's the max that I can give this person. But at least now you took 20, 30% off your plate. It takes a lot of work, but when you do it, it really works. And then you got to be okay with this. And I've learned this from my current business partner. And actually, I count him as one of my mentors, Andrew Smith. He goes to me, Otto, you're going to have to be okay with things being 75% to your liking. No one is going to do things 100% to your liking. But if your team can do at least 75% or 80% of it in the direction that you want to, that's how you scale your business, right? So I think I'm talking about two things here. There's the people that you bring on board to help you build the systems in place. Those are consultants.
Right.
Different than the people that you build from within.
Right.
Like so if you need help, you bring people from the outside, they show you the way. And then you build all of that, and then you start delegating it to others so you can start growing.
Right.
Because you can't do it all yourself.
That's that's what our transition has been in the t-shirt business, is trying to like get out of the business so that way they could work on it. And then it's been hard because you're like, man, this is done wrong, right? Yeah. But then you have to take that lump. You have to say, you know what? Fine, that happened, but try to like fix it within. But it's good what you said about getting a mentor and getting other people to help you
that's
to
how we
build those systems because it's just so much you can only do so much, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. But you have to understand too, right? And I used to be super intimidated about managing others, right? In the beginning, right? And this is prior to Pincho, because I used to manage a team at Sapient. And then you realize that managing, it's not something that people are just randomly born with. It's a skill that you have to learn, like anything else. No one is born and is like, oh my God, what a great manager. No, like people are leaders. Leading is very different than managing. Leading, you're a great leader. People look up to you. Managing is managing the process, having one-on-ones with your team, following up. All you have to do is follow up, and it's a completely different game. Every day you wake up and you're like, okay, I gave this task, and this task to so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Let me follow up and see where they are. And if they got it done, great. If they didn't, my job is to assist them to get them done. And you're a coach, man. That's what you are. You're a coach of a freaking team, and you just got to develop everybody. But I think what everybody needs to understand is that everyone learns it. No one's born with it. So you just get a book, learn it, find a mentor, learn it. I found great mentors. Jim Mises, I love you. Shout out to Jim. He took a chance on me when I had 3 restaurants. Me and it all had 3 restaurants. And this guy is the CEO of Blaze Pizza. They had 300 restaurants, partners with LeBron James.
Wow.
And I said, hey, man, I would love for you to help us and be a mentor. And he was like, hell yeah, absolutely. Until today, he's one of my mentors. And he showed us the way, So you learn a lot from others, for sure.
Wow. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's such great, feedback and knowledge
absolutely.
that will help for sure someone. You're helping me just just talking.
That's why we're here.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So tell me, so you've grown all of this. Tell me how, did you have to raise money? And if you did, how did you raise it? I know you spoke a little bit about. You make sure that all your books are in line, make sure that your restaurant's growing. Yeah. So how did that work?
So particular to Pincho, we're a restaurant. In the beginning, we had our money. We opened our first store. Second store, we involved friends and family round, raised a little bit of money. We got that one open. Shout out to Yadi. And then we said, okay, we need to grow. What do we do? So we said, let's franchise, right? And I think naturally everybody thinks franchising is like this sexy thing. It's amazing. McDonald's did it. Let's go. And I don't think it's for everyone. So we decided to franchise. We grew a few stores via franchising. That was a huge plus. And then we did joint ventures. So what we did was, okay, let's open store number 3. We'll have T, John, and Mike are going to be our partners there. Everybody puts a little bit of money, and we will put a little bit of money ourselves as a brand, and it'll be 25%, 25%, 25%, and us 25%. Those are joint ventures. Right. So at the LLC level. And I think those are really complicated, but that's how we grew. Like we grew with whatever we could take. Right. Like, hey, you guys want to open up a bit? People would come to us like, oh, we would love to franchise, but we don't know anything about restaurants. We're like, okay, great. Instead of franchising, why don't you guys put the capital? We'll put the know-how. We'll become joint venture partners. We'll be 50-50. We'll run it. We'll take a management fee. And then you guys just make good money every month. So we grew that way. And luckily for us, knock on wood, every time we've opened another store, it was just more successful and more successful than the previous one. And we grew to like 7-8 locations that way, which was incredible. But then COVID happened. Franchising is a tough business. It's not easy because you have all these people that are trying to influence your brand and how you should be, and you're still very small. So we decided to just buy all the franchises back and just own Pincho 100%. So we hired an investment banker. We put a deck together. We cleaned up their books even more. And we did a whole process to go raise money. And then in 2021, September of 21, we closed a $20 million round in Pincho. And we bought all the franchises back and we opened up Texas. So now we are company owned all the way, no franchising. We control our destiny. All of our restaurants now are ours. So if there's a problem anywhere, we can take care of it right away instead of having to go to the franchise, chain of command. And here we are.
So what made you open up in Houston? Just, as a curiosity, because there's, it's pretty far from here to the Houston. What happened?
It's a great question. We wanted to prove the brand outside of Florida, because if we have a brand that works not only in Florida, but on the second and third state, the valuation of the brand increases significantly. So we're like, okay, let's go plant some seeds now in Texas, because it's a marathon. It's we're gonna go out there. We're gonna little by little build a business. We did it based on data. We hired a company called Site Zeus. Really cool. They geofenced every single Pincho location in Miami, and they track the phones of people that go in and out of every Pincho for like 20 days or something like that. And then it built what is called a psychograph of our customers. It says, this is who your customer is. This is their spending habits. This is their age. This is where they go before, after Pincho. Like after Pincho, 30% of them go to Publix, 25% of them go home, 30% of them go to LA Fitness. Before Pincho, this is where they're coming from. And then it tells you, this is who they are. This is their spending habits. It's somehow it's so scary. Like all of these clicks that we do on Facebook and Instagram, all of that feeds back into these huge data points. And it said, look, based on that, this is where other people like them, a lookalike audience. This is where they live in the U.S. And then Houston was a huge chunk.
Wow.
It's like, okay, Houston market's very similar to the Miami market. Let's go open up there, and we did, and this has been awesome.
Wow, I hear Houston's awesome.
Oh, it's a great city.
I've been to Houston to visit or whatever, but I've never lived it, obviously.
Yeah.
But Houston, everybody that goes over there says it's so awesome, and how people are not like here. You know, you're trying to sell something. And you have 20 other people selling you. Yeah. And over there, they're like, we go sell, and it's only us selling, so it's a lot easier of a sale, and the people are nicer, whatever.
It's a huge market. Like if you from one Pincho to the other is like a 35-minute drive. It's like one Pincho is an hour away from the other one.
Oh my God.
It's huge, and you're still in Houston. That's what's crazy. Yeah, and it's very diverse, very foodie, and they have a lot of good food. Like, dude, the food there is like next level. It's fast food, a lot of fast food, right? But there's like a lot of Vietnamese, like Asian influenced restaurants, a lot of Mexican influenced restaurants. There's a lot of barbecue, great burger joints. It's fun. It gets really hot in the summer, just like Miami, but it's very similar. Like it's very humid, but man, we like it. We like it a lot.
So how did you who went out there? Like, did you have since you have everything in place, you took your best guys here to go hire and train over there? Is that how you
the way that we did it is we grabbed our ace, like 8 players from Miami. Well, first of all, we hired 2 managers from Houston, and we moved them to Miami for a month.
Oh, really?
We brought them to Miami to train at our restaurants and learn the brand, learn the culture, really like sort of be part of the fabric of Miami. And then we said, okay, now you guys are ready. Let's go back to Houston. And then we did a huge hire. We hired first restaurant like 47 people, I think it was. Wow. 48 people. It was like a massive amount of people. We trained everybody, and we opened store number 1. And then we already had the manager for store number 2. You know what I mean? So like now you have 2 incredible managers that opened 1 store. One manager is running that store. The other manager is just assisting while the second location gets open. Then we went and we opened the second location with that manager. But now you have 2 locations there. Now you can use those to train the rest. Right. The first ones are a little tough, but you want people to really understand the brand, and so you want to bring them here. But you want to be thoughtful about that because being 4 weeks in a hotel can be pretty tough for a human, right? Especially away from their friends and family. So you want to bring them, have them here for 2 weeks, send them back home, make sure that they hang out with their friends and family, and then bring them back for another 2 weeks. You don't want it to be like a full 4 weeks in a hotel, because that's just brutal.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's cool how you transition them, and you're thoughtful about
you have to
how it all happens. That's incredible. Now let's talk about a little bit how do you so I've seen you on TV.
Yeah.
I've seen you. Do you have a PR firm, or is it just that your burgers are so good that you get on there? Like, I don't know. Like, tell me, how does somebody do that, or how
in the beginning, unfortunately, you need PR. We were very lucky. We met with Larry Carino. He's a local from Brusman Carino. We love Larry. We hired his team to do our PR in the beginning, and that really helped us tremendously. PR is not cheap, so if you're gonna hire PR, you have to be ready for it. You know what I mean? But it is an investment. So, if you're a small brand starting, between $3,000 and $5,000 a month for a few months, You want to do that for at least 3 months, depending on your business. Not everybody needs PR,
Right.
but that gets you like here's the thing. PR is not going to be your savior. You still have to have a good story to tell, because PR is going to introduce you to the media, but the media still needs to be interested in writing about you.
Right.
So, in the beginning, we were like, oh my God, we're going to get all these pieces on the Miami Herald and Miami New Times, and it's just not that way. It just happened that we've won a lot of awards, so there was a lot to talk about for Pincho, and the angle for Pincho was like a really good one. But PR was a huge part of our marketing strategy. Absolutely. We don't have PR full-time anymore, but if we are going to do... let's say we're going to launch a new menu, and we really want people to talk about it. We'll involve a PR team to write a press release and help us and support us to get that launched. And then you build relationships, man. You build relationships with the writers. You become friends with them. I'm still friends with writers that they're not even writing anymore, and I'm still friends with them because you just become friends with them. Shout out to Lainey. I love Lainey Doss. She's a dear friend of mine. It's like, you just care for her. She's like, hey, what's up, Lainey? It's just genuine relationship with everybody throughout the years. I think is a good thing that everybody needs to do. You have to remember, everybody's getting pitched stories left and right. So why should they write about you? Just be very thoughtful about that, and how do you approach, and don't send an email to a writer, hey, what's up? Do you want to write about me? Just be thoughtful. That's their job, that's their career. Try to build a relationship first, see how they're doing, be a normal human, introduce them to who you are, and then sort of try to do it on your own. If not, hire a publicist for sure.
And what about like marketing? What do you guys like in your early days?
Yeah.
What were you doing to get people into the door, because you weren't known? What did you do?
So my background's in marketing, so that's what I did for a living. But even with my background, because I was purely like a really good designer, I guess, more than a marketer. Man, we had to get creative, because as you said earlier, Instagram wasn't like super hot back then. There was no Facebook ads. There was nothing. There was Foursquare. I don't know if you guys remember Foursquare, but Foursquare, people would go and check in. So, and we didn't have money for PR in the beginning. And we're like, hey, what do we do? So we said, you know what? Let's come up with a new crazy out-of-the-box burger every Tuesday. And it was called Try Me Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, we would come out with something new. We did the Elvis burger, which had peanut butter and jelly. The Tostón burger was born out of that. The Fritanga burger was born out of that. And the whole purpose of that is let's be really creative with our food so people can start talking about it. And it worked. And that cemented who Pincho is today. So every month now we have a monthly special because of that. Because you want people to talk about you. So you don't want to be the same as everybody else.
Right.
So you have to think of, okay, what's going to be my edge? Why am I different? Why do I exist? Why are people going to care? So you want to sit down and be like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be different in this way. I'm going to focus on my branding. My brand is going to be super cool, super clean. It's going to be the best looking store, or whatever, your strategy is.
Right.
And you have to do things that other people won't do. And then people start talking about you.
So, but you said that there was no social media. So how were you getting that word out?
There was social media. There was Facebook.
Okay.
There was Facebook. The Instagram wasn't still super hot,
right.
But you
So
posted
you would just post it and tell your friends, repost this for me?
That's exactly right. You would post it on social and hope that people would see it. You just send it out to the world. You couldn't boost it or target people as a business. And then, people started talking about it. And then little by little, we started building a following. And then you post it and a bunch of people would like it. And back then, Facebook wouldn't suppress.
Right. I know. Before, you could see everybody's feed.
Yeah, you post a picture and we'll get 1,000 likes. Now you post a picture, you get 30. And it's the truth.
And restrict everything.
Yeah, it was really good. So we did a lot of that in the beginning, man. Just trying to out of the box, thinking.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that you guys, you basically had no money, and you're like, how the hell do we get more business?
Yeah.
So it doesn't. So don't think that just because you don't have money, you can't bring in sales or you can't market. You can. It's just you got to be
in today's world. I mean, see, you remember it was incredibly hard to build a business back in the day. Even getting an LLC done was like you had to call the president of the United States of America to get it signed. You know, it was tough. Today you go to like legalwhatever.com and you open up an LLC, and then you go to Shopify.com and you open up a whole web store, and you go to Facebook, you open up an account, you can do advertising. It's honestly the best time, I believe, the best time for anyone to open up a business. You have AI that can help you with research, help you with copy, help you with strategy. Like people are gonna think I'm crazy, but like I talk to my AI. His name is Ace. It talks to him like a co-founder. I had a 45-minute conversation with Ace the other day.
Oh my God.
45 minutes of back and forth. I'm like, yo, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I don't like this. And we just went back and forth, and I came up with an incredible strategy for my brand. And I think people need to start leveraging that more. So going back to like money, I think there's lots of ways for you to test your business today with very cheap money. Like if you have an idea, you can just test it. You don't have to, I have an idea for an app, and then people make the mistake and they'll hire a developer and they'll spend $100,000 to build an app. It's like, before even doing that, what's your app about? Oh, my app is for, and I saw this, I'm gonna just use this example because I saw it the other day. My app is for, I want women to rent out clothes that they have in their closets that they don't use it, that other women are willing to rent it. Instead of building this whole thing, just reach out to your friends and reach out, put an ad on Facebook and say, hey, I have some kick-ass designer bags that I would love to rent out for $50, and see if anybody bites. No one bites, maybe you shouldn't put $100,000 to building an app. A few women, a few girls bite, well, you know what? People maybe are willing to pay for that. And there's just so many ways for you to hack it these days that I think are just easier than before.
Awesome advice.
Yeah.
I mean, you've given so much, advice and so much knowledge, and it's been amazing.
No,
I wanna try to finish off with, what advice would you give a young entrepreneur that is trying to get into buying a business or starting a business?
Yeah.
What would you give that young entrepreneur? What advice would you give them?
There's so many advice that I would give them.
Something that doesn't take 20 minutes to explain.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think single-handedly, just move. Don't overthink it. Don't overcommit all your money. You know what I mean? Don't bet all your money into this one business if you don't understand it. There's ways for you to just test it out, right? We call it product market fit. There's ways for you to have a product market fit depending on what your idea is. If you're gonna open up a coffee shop, for example, before renting a location and spending $150,000, $250,000 to open up a spot, do a pop-up. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink the logo. Don't just build your coffee, your cold brew, whatever it is, and just do a pop-up. Do a pop-up this weekend. Go to FIU. And you gotta be willing to do things other people are not willing to do. You gotta be willing to look dumb and look stupid. Who cares? You're trying to build a business. Just go. You're gonna learn. You're gonna reiterate. You're gonna change it. And you're like, you know what? People actually don't like my coffee, but they really like my tea. They really don't like the sandwich, but they like that one. And then you're gonna find yourself like just getting to something that you find really, really solid. Don't ask your friends. Don't ask your family, because those people are gonna tell you what you want to hear. They're gonna be nice about it. They're gonna be like, oh man, you know what? That tastes really good. Strangers. When I this is a quick example. When I made a decision of changing the name from Pincho Factory to Pincho, because we dropped factory from the name, right. I was like, you know what? Everybody's just telling me all these things. I went to kayak.com. I bought a ticket to Chicago here. I shit you not. I printed 6 versions of the logo, and I went and I stood in the middle of the airport in Chicago. I went to 40 random strangers, and I said, hi, my name is Otto. I'm a student. I would love for you to help me out with this new name for this new brand that I'm creating, and I'll show them. And I came back and I said, yeah, it needs to be Pincho. Because everybody's like, oh, I don't know. And there was all these friends giving out, just go. It cost me $250. I landed, I asked 40 people, and I got back on my plane, and I came back home. It was my focus group, So don't overthink it. Do it little by little. Test out the business before committing a lot of money, and find mentors. Just reach out to people on LinkedIn. I've reached out to everybody that I know. LinkedIn, just don't sell yourself, and don't ask. Just say, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm trying to start a business. I would love 5 minutes of your time so you can point me in the right direction. founders will always help other founders, at least the good ones.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, that's great advice, brother.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
thank you so much for
For
being
sure,
on the
bro.
show.
Absolutely.
Continue your success, and
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to. I was hoping that you bring a bunch of Pincho factory,
Yeah.
stuff over here, but I know I got you at a bad time.
Next one for sure. I got